Hi there and welcome to today's cooking class. I have actually decided that for the last 2 years I've been doing this law of substitution cooking class, which is use up what you've got in the fridge. But I'm realizing that now as cost goes up and your grocery bill is going up as well, that you might not have a bunch in the fridge, but you're going more to meal planning and making your dollars stretch. So I'm going to start doing cooking classes for the frugal feast, okay? So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to feature a product I have not featured before, and this is our shepherd's pie. Yes, this shepherd's pie is a product that we have in our meal solution collection that is actually very inexpensive to make. And basically it's a baked meat pie. Now you can use a few different varieties, and if those of you are out there and you're vegan and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this, yes you can. We're just gonna substitute it with lentil. So let's get started with how to make this great meal called shepherd's pie. And I'll give you some fun food facts as we go along. So let's first start out. We need to grab this package and we need to start getting the flavors releasing. And the best way to do that is with liquid. So what I've got in our 4-cup prep bowl is 1.5 cups of water. And we're just gonna simply add the package to this. And we're going to stir it up. Now this is my 4-in-1 or 3-in-1 spoon. Love, love, love this because it's a spatula spoon and I love the handle, but it's really nice for getting into little containers and jars. So we're just going to make sure that we get all this soaking in the liquid and letting it just release its flavors while it sits for a few minutes. Now, what does shepherd's pie usually have in it? Well, here's some fun food facts about our baked meat pie. Now, originally it was made with diced or minced lamb and potatoes, and it's believed that it's a British dish. And actually, I think it goes back to Scotland, but the Irish have grabbed it as well. So anywhere in North England, in the UK. And it's not only there, but it has gone around the world with its own variety, just simply because it is so inexpensive and it just uses some basic ingredients, as you're going to see. So again, as I mentioned, if you're looking for a frugal meal for your family that's comfort meals and not very costly, this might be the perfect one for you. So we're just going to set that aside. Now, I will also mention what else it has, and it is potatoes. Now, you've gone to the grocery store and you've probably seen, oh gosh, there's white potatoes, there's red potatoes, there's russet potatoes, there's Yukon Gold. Which potato do you use? Well, here's a fun food fact. When we're using potatoes for something like shepherd's pie, we want to use russets. So if you buy russets, these are the best because they're really good for whipping and they can become light and fluffy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be peeling a pound of russet potatoes. Now, what is a pound? If you're going to the grocery store, that's approximately 3 large russet potatoes. So let's just get this started. So I've got here our flexible cutting board. Let me just move this out of the way. Our flexible cutting board, and what I love about these is when you buy them, you actually get four different sheets. So I'm going to use one and just show you why I like using it. Oh, and I should mention, this is our Y peeler. This peeler is fabulous for peeling your potatoes. So let's just quickly run through here, get our potato peeled. Russet potatoes are actually really good as well for doing French fries. So if you're wondering, do I buy a whole bag of russet potatoes? Well, if you like French fries and you're going to be making hamburgers for the kids, or you know, anything like chili, and you're thinking you might want to put fries along the side, yeah, russet potatoes are the ones to use. Okay, and when you're looking at this Y peeler, you'll notice that it's got some ends that stick out here. These are meant to actually be used to take out the eye of the potato. You can see that there's some eyes in here, and rather than having to cut too much of your potato, you can simply just grab this little edge, pop it in there, twist it around, and your eye's right out. Okay, so now you see I've got all the mess here on my cutting board. We're just going to throw it in the garbage. Now, the reason why I love this so much is if this had been meat and I didn't want to contaminate, I would just literally move this to the sink, but that's not an issue. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut up our potato into bite-sized pieces because we want to mash this, and we're going to cook our potato in the microwave. You can boil it on the stove if you prefer, but I like doing fast and easy, so microwave it is. So basically we're going to use our ceramic knife. This knife is fabulous because it stays sharp for a very long time. It has a protective sheath to make sure that the blade stays sharp and protected in your drawer. And I'm basically just going to chop this up, as I said, into bite-sized pieces, and we're going to steam this. So let's just do that. Perfect. Do the same for the other half. And now we're going to add this to our multi-purpose steamer. Now we've got a couple different styles. This is our round steamer. I've already cut up some potatoes in here, so don't be surprised. I didn't think you needed to see me peeling all the potatoes, but we've got our potatoes in here, and we're just not gonna throw any liquid whatsoever. We're just gonna put our potatoes in here, and we're gonna just let the moisture from the potatoes cook itself in the microwave. Now, how long? Well, in your microwave, it's going to take anywhere between 8 and 10 minutes. And be very cautious. Like when you're putting this on, these are the steaming vents. Make sure that you keep that away from your hands when you're taking it out. So let me just put this in the microwave for 8 minutes, and we'll see how this goes, and we'll get started on the rest of the cooking class. All right, so that is our potatoes. Now, what are we gonna do now? Well, we definitely need to start making our meat. And like I said before, originally it was made with lamb, but hey, hamburger is very inexpensive, less expensive than lamb because it's supply and demand. You could use chicken, ground turkey, or like I said, if you wanted to do the vegetarian version, you can totally do it with lentil. So today I'm going to do it with our chicken. Let me just break down the counter before I get this started. And what we're going to do is we're going to brown this up. So getting your fry pan, we're just going to get this cooking up. And I want to show you another item that I never had in my product line prior to about 2 years ago, and that's this lovely little thing. This is our meat separator, and what I love about this is it will separate your meat, because when you're buying ground meat, I mean, how many times have you sat there with a fork trying to mush it? Well, take a look at this. This is just going to break it up, so as it's cooking, you can have chunks, and you're not sitting there cutting with a knife on the bottom of your frying pan and potentially ruining it. Okay, so we're just gonna get this cooking up nice. Now, I've seen others on the market, and one thing that I do love about this is because there's only 3 blades in it, it's really, really easy to clean. And some of the others that I've seen, yes, they might have multiple blades, but cleaning it is virtually a nightmare. So we're just going to let this heat up and cook. Now, what can I tell you about some other fun food facts while we're just waiting for things to come together? Okay, so originally this was called just a cottage pie, actually. And it's because the peasants back in the day, I mean, they would use the leftovers from the meals to put together their shepherd's pie. So it was bits and pieces of everything, which is why you'll notice I have mixed veggies. So if you happen to have leftover veggies in your fridge, you don't have to buy frozen veggies. Use up whatever you've got going. Peas, corn, beans, cauliflower, broccoli. But traditionally, it's usually carrots, peas, and corn, okay? And beans. All right, so this is cooking up. Now, the other thing I will tell you is the actual word shepherd's pie, which is what you see here, Shepherd's pie actually started appearing in cookbooks in 1854, but the actual cottage pie that this used to come from was actually around in the 1700s. So it's really morphed over the years to being cottage pie to shepherd's pie. And like I said, it's traveled around the world in its different ways. So for example, there is a version of a Chilean version called pastel de papa, which is basically, it's got hard-boiled eggs, raisins, olives. Can you imagine? But yes, that's what the Chilean version. Now the French have their version as well, which is called hachis parmentier, which is basically, loosely said, minced meat. And in Scotland, of course, they always used, of course, their pastries, right? So rather than doing potatoes like we've got in there, if you go back in traditions and history, you'll realize that pastry is what was used rather than potatoes. Needless to say, you can make it any way you want. So I'm not sure what we should call this because I'm actually using ground chicken. So cottage pie, shepherd's pie. Oh, and if you're doing vegetarian version of this, just so you know, it's called shepherdless pie. So there you go. Now, here's another fun food fact. Let's just get this cooking up. Now remember, another thing I should mention, most of our products, well, all of our products, are low sodium and sugar. So what you may want to do is you may want to add your own salt and pepper as you please. So I like having just a little bit extra. And the nice thing about when you're adding it to our food, a little bit goes a really long way, unlike processed food that's just chocked full. Now you'll notice our salt and pepper meals have a grinder on the top. It's adjustable. And you can add what you want, but when you want to refill it, I will show you that we also have a refill jar. And this refill jar, you've got more volume, but you can just add it to any salt or pepper grinder. So this comes in different salts and different peppers. So stay tuned. We sometimes bring in special blends, usually in the summer. Our butcher's blend is amazing. Okay, so we've got this cooking away now. I'm gonna grab my pepper. Just give this a little toss. Now if you're looking, this is my saute spoon. And what I love about this is it's got a nice sharp edge. So this will actually cut up your meat or whatever you're cooking with as well. So, but of course, because it's silicone, it's not going to cut the bottom of your pan, which is basically ruining it, right? It's just got a couple more minutes on that. Okay, so fun food fact, here we go. Are you ready for this? The most expensive shepherd's pie. Remember, this is a frugal feast, right? This pie actually cost 1,700 euros. Yes, oh my gosh. It was created back in Lancashire, gosh, that's hard to say 3 times fast, in the UK. And why was it so expensive? I mean, really, it's certainly not a frugal feast if you're paying that kind of money. The reason why is the meat that they decided to use was Wagyu beef from Japan. But they didn't stop there. Nope, nope. Then they had to bring in these very unique, expensive mushrooms. After they did the mushrooms, they decided, nope, let's up it an ante and let's add some truffles. So they added black truffle to it. And of course, then you needed to make some amazing sauce. And they decided to make a gravy. Well, this gravy was made from wine. Not just 1 bottle of wine, but 2. This wine was called, the bottles of wine they used were 1982 Chateau Mouton Rothschild's wine. Very expensive. So that's what they made the gravy with. And then they garnished it, yes, the piece de resistance was the gold leaf. Seriously, I would like to know, rather than the fun food fact, who has that kind of money to spend on a shepherd's pie? Ridiculous. But if you want to know more about it, go check out the Guinness Book of World Records. Okay, so let me just get this heat up a little bit more. So once we've got our meat browned, how you like it, and I don't tend to want to overcook it. Like if you're doing beef or chicken, you just want to make sure that you're not browning it, but cooking it, because you don't want it to get too dried out. So this is almost ready. So I'm curious, when you go to make your shepherd's pie, what are you planning on using? Do you want to use hamburger? Do you want to use ground turkey, ground chicken, lamb, or lentils? Lots of options. And if you have been making your different shepherd's pie at home using your own homemade recipe, what spices or how many spices are you putting in that? Because here's what's in ours, okay? So reading the ingredient list, we have onion in here. A little bit of cornstarch. Remember, all of our products are 100% gluten-free. They've got tomato powder, which has sea salt, garlic. We've got nutritional yeast, mushrooms, black peppers, chive, thyme, and celery salt. So all the flavors packed right in that little jar. Or package, I should say. Okay, and the instructions, just so you know, that I'm reading here are right on the package. And it literally says, stir the seasoning into your liquid, set aside, cube your potatoes, which we've done, and it just went off. While the potatoes are cooking, brown your lean ground beef in a medium skillet or frying pan over medium-high heat. Stir in the reserved seasoning. So we're gonna get this started right away. Because we've got our chicken here. And you can see it's all cooked now. Perfect. So we're just gonna add this. Flavoring in here. And what I love about this is basically, other than the cooking the potatoes, it's a one-pot meal. You don't need to convert it into another container and put it into the microwave. Okay, and we're just gonna stir this in. You can see the tomato, the dried tomatoes in here. That's why it's getting the color. Stir this up. It smells, oh my gosh. It is cold here, by the way. I thought I was really smart. I actually put my patio furniture out on the weekend because it was melting, it was gorgeous. Yeah, blame me, because if you can believe, it is now -11. It's freezing out there. Okay, remember I'm using frozen mixed veggies, but you could use whatever you've got in your home that's in your fridge. Remember, you don't want to waste your money, especially with the grocery bills coming up high. Just add this. Now you put them in frozen, just the heat, you're just gonna cook this up. It'll cook them up quite fast because of course they're small little pieces. And I know my microwave is ready, so I'm just gonna make sure I mix this up, and then we're going to mash our potatoes. Okay. So let's get my mashed potatoes here going. So here's our mashed potato, well, they're not mashed, our cubed potatoes. Make sure when you take it off that you make sure that the steam goes away from you, because of course steam can burn. And because we've got, and this is why I like using the round one, we're actually going to mash our potatoes right inside the bowl. So you're going to use our prep bowls, our 4-in-1 prep bowls, and you're going to add a half a cup of milk. Now, if you're dairy intolerant, you're going to use oat milk, almond milk, whatever milk you want, any substitute that you want with that. And we're just going to use our masher, and we're going to mash these up. You can use a potato ricer if you prefer, but because I'm using the round container, I can actually just do this right now. Now you'll notice I didn't add any butter. Do you need butter? Well, depends on whether you're cutting calories or not. I'm actually doing the Epic Life Challenge. And so what I'm doing is I find that because russets are just so flavorful already, we've got great flavor in here, and with the moisture and the creaminess of those russet potatoes, I really find that you don't need any butter, but if you feel compelled to do so, you certainly can add butter. So, but look at how nice and creamy and whipped those became. Grab my spatula here. So when we go back to our instructions, let's take one more peek and make sure we're on target. So this is what we need to do. We've got our beef here. We've add our reserve seasoning. We've brought it to a boil. We're reducing the heat, simmering it for 2 minutes. We're gonna add our mixed veg, heating it thoroughly, and then we're just gonna add the mashed potatoes on top. So super easy, guys. Is this not super easy? And because we're serving right out of this dish, make sure that you get everything mixed up nicely. I noticed I got quite a bit of juice on one side, not the other. Now you'll notice, because it's been cooking, that that liquid is thickening up like a gravy. So don't let it go too far, because we don't want to burn it. So turn this right down. And now all we're going to do to serve this, flatten it out. Perfect. We're going to just add our potatoes right on top. Now, here's a little tip for you. If you want, and you have an oven-proof fry pan, you could actually put this under the broiler for just a few minutes, just to get your potatoes a little brown and toasty on the top. But again, totally optional, because our potatoes are already cooked. There's no need for that. Just getting our gravy on here. Our mashed potatoes. Oh my goodness. Talking about a nice, fast, easy meal, which is exactly what we all need, right? Especially when it's cold outside. Get every last potato piece in there. And because you don't want everyone fighting for the spot, you can just use your spatula and spread it out so it looks nice and pretty. Add a little bit of salt and pepper on the top to flavor your potatoes, because we didn't add any salt. When you're normally cooking potatoes on the stove, you add salt to your water. When you steam it in the microwave, of course, you're not doing that. So you may want to add some extra flavor on the top by using some of our different spices. I could have mashed it as well. I could have put some flavoring in with my milk when I added it to mash it. So roasted garlic aioli or herb and garlic seasoning. Any of those would have been perfect. But I am just today going to just make it really super basic. Add a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And if you feel inclined to, I've got a little bit of sage here, which I love. You may just want to put a little bit of greenery on the top just to make it look pretty. You don't need to have sage. You could use green onion. And there you go, guys. Here is your shepherd's pie. You are absolutely gonna love this dish. It is warming, comforting, very, very delicious. When you go to plate it, let's just grab a plate here. Show you how yummy it is. Literally, it's all cooked, it's ready to go. Just take your sauté spoon, cut out the size that you want, and scoop it onto your plate. Simply like this.